Yo, 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 what up, man? It's Big Game James here. My dog DDP. You know what it is. Positively Relentless, episode 15. What's up, Carlos Holloway? We're waiting for everybody to jump in the building, get on in here. A lot to talk about. Not a lot, but there's a big subject to talk about. It's been going all through Cowboy land, going crazy, DDP. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
We can't act like we don't know what it is. But you know what? The funny thing about this subject, DDP, everybody and their mama done knew about this. Everybody in their whole life knew about this, and we all kind of knew how many games he was going to miss. But Tyron Smith, once again, torn hamstring, out 2 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's your thoughts on it, right quick? And we're just going to kind of just hit all things with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same kind of malpractice we've seen, like in terms of inadequate preparation. We were talking earlier, he hasn't had a complete season since 2015. That's 7 seasons at this point where you've not gotten a full season out of him. Not only that, it's not just like, okay, that's bad enough already having 7 straight years of not a complete season, but then you factor in like it's gotten progressively more. The number of games he's missing per season is stacking up. The mileage is high on this particular motor, and the tread is coming off the tires. Car repairs are in my mind, I guess, right now. But these analogies, but yeah, it's not ideal. You have to do something better. And I know you could say like, well, they drafted Tyler Smith, to be kind of the heir apparent. They were even talking about that on draft night. I get that, but at the same time, the plan wasn't to make him the guy now. The plan was to have him work guard for this first year probably, and then kind of transition towards that direction moving forward. Well, you haven't run him, Smith. You haven't run him at all in camp at this. And now you're not even going to get a chance to run him in the preseason finale. Was that tomorrow? You're not even going to get a chance to do that then because he's dealing with an ankle injury. So now it sounds like his is more of a minor thing, but nevertheless, it's problematic because you're razor thin as far as your depth there. Your prospects are not that great, and you're not even going to get any work for now. Your guy that's probably going to be asked to have to fill in that void for not even just a little bit, like you said, 2 to as many as 6 months. He didn't just tear the hamstring; he tore it off the bone. Like, and everyone jokes about this, like, oh, his elbow braces are actually knee braces. That's how big he is. Well, okay, fine. If we want to keep that we want to keep that example going. That's probably a big ass hamstring too. So even if he has surgery tomorrow, you're not getting him back before December. And this is no one to blame but themselves. This is just another area they did not adequately prepare, even though they've seen this staring them in the face for literal years. And I know you've got some thoughts on that as it relates to his contract, but yeah, hit me with that. What you got?
I mean, just kind of flowing off everything you said about the ill-prepared. I mean, the main reason why he's been on the team, not just because he's been a very good player, Hall of Fame type player, we can say. So we can't even deny the ability of Tyron Smith. We can't deny that. We know what he is. He's been a dog. But it don't matter how much of a dog you are. It's just when we were talking about Sean Lee, it's the availability. We was all loving Sean Lee when he was getting 15, 17, 18 tackles in a game and blowing it up and killing everything. But we wasn't loving when Sean Lee would miss one season. Then the next year, the same thing happened again. We got tired of hearing it, didn't we, DDP? We got tired of talking about the same thing every single year with Sean Lee with them damn injuries. We didn't want to hear it no more. We was just like, bro, just retire because we're done with it. It doesn't matter how good you are almost like now because you're going to get hurt. So it doesn't matter how great you are if you're not available to be great. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if we're looking about what you just said, flowing off what you just said, he hasn't had a full season since 2015. Like you said, 7 years. Going from 2020, he missed 14 games in 2020 with the neck injury. He missed 6 games last year with multiple injuries. And now he's going to be out, possibly could be the whole season. In my head, I'm thinking, look, it's over. How can this man come back from a torn hamstring? And I told you, as soon as he says, this is the best shape I've ever felt in my life, the injury comes. It's almost like as soon as he says it's a hex. So he says that. I gave the big yawn. Now he's out. I feel like this is a retirement stage now, dog. I don't feel like where do you come back and say you're going to be good again? Come on, dog. You tore it off the bone. You feel like you said these aren't normal injuries you're having now. You had a neck injury that took you out the whole year, and the neck affects everything. It affects the back, and you've been having back and elbow injuries. That affects the legs. When you have back injuries, that affects your legs. You got to put more stress on your legs. The OC would know about that. You feel me? So it's like, that's what we're talking about, DDP. I said this in 2018 when Michael Gallup, when they drafted Gallup and them, and then we were talking about the Jamal Adams. He was up in the air. Dallas could have possibly floated with them, and they were talking about they wanted either Tyron Smith or Zach Martin. You remember? And they were like, nah, we ain't doing that. And I was like, you know what? You should look into that Tyron Smith thing, not Zach Martin, because Zach Martin ain't getting hurt. Zach Martin's still playing at a high level, and he's not getting hurt. So you ain't even thinking about a Zach Martin. But a Tyron Smith, DDP, who's getting hurt that much, you could have made a big-time trade, for real, got assets, and then somebody else would have been dealing with the damaged goods with Tyron Smith. Stop being sentimental about this player and this contract. Oh, he's got the 10-year deal, so contract-friendly. That's what it's all about. That's what it's really all about, DDP, is that his contract is friendly, and we're not going to move on from him because we got a contract-friendly guy who is a pretty much all-pro. So we're not going to do anything with that. That, to me, is a mistake. Like you said, DDP, you drafted a Tyler Smith. We know that. I said it was on the front office, and people are like, they drafted Tyler Smith. Yeah, I know that. They drafted him as a tackle, but was he playing tackle? That's the point. If you draft him as a tackle, here's the thing, DDP. They said yesterday, Mike McCarthy said, as of now, it would have been Connor McGovern starting at left guard and not Tyler Smith. And Tyler Smith has been starting left guard the whole time in camp. Connor McGovern has been playing right guard. So he wasn't even going to be starting left guard as the first-round draft pick. So what sense it did not make then, you didn't draft him as tackle and just have him at tackle because he was going to be a backup at the start of the season anyway at guard. So
I don't think they expected that though. I think they were assuming he would be able to start at guard, and at times it looks like he's been the better option there, but I think they're maybe a little surprised he hasn't kind of distanced himself a little bit more in that. But I agree generally with what you're saying. If he's going to be the heir apparent, at the very least, you want to get some reps there. You can't just say, oh, well, we're just not even going to worry about that until next year. Tyron's going to miss games. It happens every year. Last 2 years, this is from David Moore on Twitter. Last 2 years, he's missed more games than he's played. 19 missed, 13 played. He's missed a total of 31 games over the last 6 seasons. And again, he's going to miss at least into December this year, if not the entire year. So that's a really rough situation. You can't go into that and tell yourself, okay, the heir apparent for the position, we're going to already say we think it's Tyler Smith, but we're not going to worry about really getting him those reps right now. At the very least, get him a little bit of those reps. Like it's, I don't know. I don't understand what they're doing with that. It kind of seems like they're a little delusional about it. Like they kind of think like, okay, if we don't worry about it right now, then maybe we won't have to deal with it right now, or we'll deal with it when it comes, if it comes. And now it's staring them in the face before we get to the season, and they don't know what to do. They're like, ooh, crap. What are our options? Nothing really? Okay. This is trouble.
I mean, here's the thing, DDP. They're putting all this stock. Everybody's saying we love them getting the young guys. Hey, I liked how they draft. And everybody's like, but we draft good. They have to draft good because they suck in free agency. So they have no choice but to draft good. Because they don't draft good, they're not going to be a good team. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't do anything in free agency. So they have to draft well. So Will McClay, he's been a monster. He's been a godsend. We know because they didn't have Will McClay, Dallas would be like the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars every single year. That's the truth. So they get great draft picks. Okay, that is good. But here's the thing. They drafted Josh Ball last year. I said, you got to see. You drafting these players, you got to see them. You drafted Josh Ball. But you've been having some veteran kind of players that you've been kind of doing as insurance just in case. Mm-hmm. You went all full go on a guy who didn't play any last year.
Yeah.
Josh Ball didn't smell the field last year. So you were coming in with this season Not putting Tyler Smith, who was the natural tackle, you put him at guard, who's a rookie. We liked how he's progressing, but you basically put another rookie to be the swing. And you were talking about Matt Walesko could be the swing from a small school. Really? He was talking about being the swing as well. What is he? A rookie. What was Josh Ball pretty much? A rookie. And you got Tyler Smith in there, a rookie. And then you're like, okay, now Tyron Smith's hurt. Now we're leaning to putting Tyler Smith at left tackle. You didn't give him no reps. So really, you're going to put that rookie out there like that and do that to him and do that to Dak? You're going to really do that to the team and compromise the team?
That's the big thing about all of this, that it's not just as simple as, like, okay, well, can he play well and at least reasonably fill the void? You got to worry about Dak at this point. We've seen when Dak does not trust his line, how do you think he's going to be able to trust his blind side, not knowing if he's going to be protected? Like, Dak, he's very good in a lot of ways. He has his moments where he sees ghosts a little bit, where he hears the footsteps and he gets happy feet. We know that Atlanta game several years ago wrecked him for like a year. Like a year of his career was basically like completely unnerved in the pocket. So not good. You got to be able to trust him here. Now, I think Dak has grown a little bit, and obviously I think is going to be a little bit more composed, but you got to worry about his health too. Like, you're not talking about a guy that is, indestructible at this point. And, even in that mind, like some guys, if they have like this innate belief that like they're not going to get hurt, they play like a little bit more loose and a little bit more freewheeling. Dak, I think, is now, because of the leg injury, I think it's the opposite for him. I think he knows, and we talked about last year how he did not want to run after he came back from the calf injury. He did not use his legs nearly as much, nearly the same way the rest of the year. And now in this situation, you're going to have to trust your legs. You're going to have to be able to do that. But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to have that same trust in it. It's a tough thing too. And you also look at it and say like, okay, well, now your starters didn't get any work this preseason. So how is he going to be able to hit the ground running? How is your passing game going to work? It feels like this is as unhinged of a start as we could kind of have at the start of the season. And it's not something that's going to clean up anytime soon. If you're talking about, 4 months, 6 months, whatever for Tyron.
Well, not just that. I mean, it's the offensive line and the receiver position, what I've been talking about. I was talking about linebacker, too. They finally addressed that at the last minute with Anthony Barr. I mean, it's not like they went out there and signed Anthony Barr quick. They waited till the last minute. He could have got taken off the market. And then, now they're talking about, well, what free agents are out there. Number one, I'm not mentioning any trades because Dow's not going to trade for anybody. They're not trading.
Jerry already said that they're going to look.
We already know that.
Yeah,
we already know that. We already know they're not going to trade. They're not wasting their precious draft picks to go do a trade because they're going to believe in their people. They keep on saying, we believe in our people. So what we're going to do is we're going to Avante Collins or the Josh Balls or, the Matt Farniaks. You're going to have to trust them. But that's why it comes down to Joe Philbin. I said, man, Philbin hasn't been that guy to me. He hasn't been the guy since he's came there. And it just seems like there's just an influx. I mean, obviously, the offense was running good with the offensive line. It was doing good in the beginning of last year. But, when teams started adjusting and seeing what Dallas was doing, it's like they didn't adjust. So it's like that's kind of disheartening, especially from a veteran offensive line coach. And he was a head coach in the NFL. And I just feel like he's not really the guy for the job. I feel like, I am frustrated they let Mark Colombo go, but, he was going with his guys. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I felt like there was more of an attitude on that line with Mark Colombo. But it is what it is. My thing is like this, DDP. The two positions that they are suffering in right now, my opinion, is you're going to have to put a Tyler Smith at the left tackle who has no experience, a Josh Ball who has no experience. You talk about putting Connor McGovern at center. He's starting center in the game Seattle, and I've been telling that for the last couple of years. It's like you talk about you didn't want to do all these musical chairs, but now you're doing them. And why are you doing the musical chairs? Because y'all really didn't prepare for that thing for Tyron Smith like you should have. In my opinion, I get where they wanted to get the guard and get physical, but I told them you shouldn't have threw Connor McGovern away. Everybody wanted to say Connor McGovern was trash at left guard, and they really didn't watch the tape. He didn't play as bad as a lot of people said. He had a couple uneven games, but like I said before, he had never played left guard in his whole career ever. So you think you're going to hit the ground running? You never played left guard in your entire life, and do it in the NFL? That's what I'm saying. So if you see Connor McGovern struggle, what do you think these rookies are going to do? And he's never played left guard. You got a left tackle who's never played in the NFL, and he got no reps. Now you're going to throw him out there? You know what I'm saying? No, you're going to push Josh Ball out there? Josh Ball's been suspect. We really trust in that? It's just a lot of unevenness. And then when you look at the receiving core, I don't understand where we think that this team is going to just be so dynamic, because when you look at the receiving core, what happens if something happens to CeeDee Lamb? He already had a little foot injury. What something happens to him? And we've been talking about that, DDP. Now you're at the same situation with the offensive line in a sense, because you got Jalen Tolbert. We like him, but he's rookie.
Yep.
Dennis Houston, I'm sorry. I need to see that. That's an undrafted. We talking about Simi Fehoko, still got a show. I mean, they haven't done anything in the regular season, and there's no reps from Dak Prescott or the offense.
Right.
So they're not getting no reps with these young guys, which I think he does, because people are like, well, he didn't get reps last year and hit the ground running. Well, that's because you had Amari Cooper, you had Michael Gallup,
properties.
You had set everybody was set. Everything was set in Dallas last year. So Dak could hit the ground running because he already knew the offense. You already had your established players. You could hit the ground running, right? That is not the case this year with this offense. So it's really going to have to be the defense, DDP, that's really going to have to save Dallas, in my opinion, in these games. If they hit the ground running with offense, that's great. But I don't just believe that that's going to happen. I feel like that's just not reality, that you're going to hit the ground running with unproven players and guys that are undrafted.
Yeah, the Cowboys defense is going to have to basically find a way to play like the, 2006 Bears or whatever, where the offense is just kind of trash. Like they had Grossman or whatever at their quarterback. And the defense and special teams just had to do everything. Like they had to basically pitch borderline shutouts or give special team touchdowns thanks to like Devin Hester, crazy stuff like that. And hey, at the very least, at least you feel, I was gonna say you got a return man you feel good about for the first time. And it's funny too, because like the natural abilities and the speed and the shiftiness and all that's there. But we still need to see in the regular season that the flashes we see are very tantalizing. But I always get a little bit weary when, especially now, because it's different with how return game works, especially like kickoffs and stuff. You're not going to get the same opportunities, like nearly almost no opportunities in the kick return game. Punt return, you'll have some opportunities, but you can still punt away from the guy and not really give him those opportunities. So I like what the defense is. I like the potential of a return man finally for the first time in a long time. But yeah, I hesitate to put too much trust in what's happening with the offense right now, because it just doesn't look like a team that's really gelling. Like they haven't had the consistency with all their guys. We're not getting any preseason work, and they didn't take care of the wide receiver depth or anything like that. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting challenge. Jerry, of course, is always going to pitch that he thinks the team thinks they're good, that they're gonna fix all their problems in-house and everything, and Tyron will be back for a playoff push, blah blah blah. Like it's the same thing. Like we've talked about the Cowboys at this point, they don't need to win. Like I truly do not think winning matters to the Jones family at this point. They just got valued at $8 billion. To them at this point, it's as simple as like, it's the brand, it's the notoriety, and it's the money. Like if it was winning, there's no way for 25 years they're making the decisions that they're making. And even when they do somehow put together something that should contend and should do something, they find a way to just completely shoot themselves in the foot. Like if they get a Super Bowl, yeah, they'd be thrilled with that. And they would treat it as validation for the last 25 years, as if the whole time they were doing the right thing. But at this point, it just feels so detached from reality. I don't even care to hear what Jerry or Steven or anyone says at this point. Like these things happen. I have interest in what the reporters are saying about it, like who are actually like on the beat and everything. I have interest in like what McCarthy says. If I see it's Jerry or Steven, I don't even read the quote at this point. I don't listen to the audio because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Like it's a sales pitch. It's marketing. It's just trying to keep headlines. And I'm tired of it. You're not like, you're the owner. I don't care to hear what you have to say about Tyron's leg. I care about what the coach says and what the trainers say. That's all I care about.
I mean, you hit that 100% on there. I couldn't said that even and any better. I don't listen to anything with Jerry. I guess was on, pardon that interruption, or was on First Take or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't care. It's just a big show. Immediately after Tyron Smith comes down, now you're on First Take for what? What are you on that show for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what that's the thing. And see, when people can come at me all the time, oh, you just being negative, and I'm gonna keep going with that. It's bro, I'm gonna be negative then. That's fine. I'm gonna be negative, okay? Because I almost feel like in my head right now, and people can take this for what it's worth. Y'all can say I'm a fake fan, not a real fan. It's almost like I want them to lose right now, and understand how I'm saying this, because that's the only way that I feel like they're going to be some kind of semblance of waking up. Okay,
Yeah.
because you just revealed it, and I said it as well. 8 billion. They're the number one franchise in all of sports. I'm gonna keep going back to that. They're worth 8 billion. They're number one, and they have won 3 playoff games since 96. 3 playoff games since 96. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? And you're still the number one franchise. Other franchises, that's not happening. You're still the number one money franchise, and you have won 3 playoff games in 25 years. That's crazy. You only had a run really of 4 years and 32 years of owning the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you didn't really even catch up with free agency when it happened. You can only use the Deion Sanders where you said you hit big in free agency, but even then, Stephen Jones didn't want Deion Sanders. It was reported back then, so you saw the cheap side then. And as long as Stevens wants to keep on micromanaging that money and doing it this way, it's not going to happen. I don't care what anybody tells me. And if it does, okay, I'll jump out there and say I was wrong. But I'm sorry, I am not going to believe this. And like I said, when you had that opportunity last year, when everything was in place, you
Yep.
flopped. So what would lead me to believe, DDP, when you had everything in place, you had a better team than you have this year, that they're all of a sudden going to rise above this controversy, rise above these injuries, and they never do it.
Right.
They're all of a sudden going to rise above these injuries now with the embattled coach who you don't even talk about. You really giving the 100% approval when you know Sean Payton is still out there. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, it's just not. This is not meant to go to a championship. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is the way this is heading. Does not say championship to me in 2022.
Yeah. No, I agree. Context on that. I was 6 years old the last time they won a Super Bowl. So it's been a minute. It's one of those ridiculous things.
And I was in my 20s and I'm about to be 50. That's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. So that's what it is. Like, you look at this and it's like a quarter of a century and we're still spinning the same. Like, nothing feels like it changes. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. Like, it's the same thing of like every year they're hyped up. Now this year is actually downtick as far as the hype.
Yeah, they've been quiet on this year because they know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, but it's usually one of those things where it's like every year they're hyped up as a potential contender, and then the 1 or 2 or 3 times that they actually have the team that can go do it, 2007, 2014, maybe 2018. I don't know about that squad as much, but certainly 2016 then. I skipped over that one, but you had 3 or 4 years where you could have done it, and you didn't even get to a conference championship game. Like you said, 3 playoff wins in 25 years. That's maddening. It's not even just about winning a championship.
The Jets have more playoff wins.
You take 2 years. The Jets went back-to-back years to the AFC Championship game. Those 2 years for the freaking Jets are better than what we've done in 25 years. We are sticker price poverty at this point. Like, we are that thing where it's like you have all the glam and glitz, but there's none of the substance. It's the thing that, like, it's on the shelf at the store, it's super expensive, and people might say like, oh, that looks nice, but nobody ever buys it. Like, it doesn't actually get any value out of it. That's what the Cowboys are at this point. They are the brand, they are the image. And like, I hate that feeling.
I hate it too. Who wants to feel like this and talk about this?
Like, I know some people get annoyed with us jumping on here and talking like this. I get it. I do. I hear myself say it, and I hate saying it. But I've also, as I said, basically my entire sports viewing life, I have seen nothing but the excuses and none of that. So like, I feel like a lot of the people that had that more nostalgia before, like they know those good times like more intimately, I think that kind of instills that belief that they can figure things out and that they'll do this. Whereas I'm looking
Yes.
at this and I'm saying, like, why
Yes.
would I have faith in this? Why would
Yes.
I look at this ownership
Yeah.
and this management and say that they're going to do something when in basically my lifetime they haven't? Like, the guy that built the dynasty, they got rid of him in the middle of the dynasty. And it's just like, so why are we
And have
trusting
fell
that they're
off
going to
ever
figure it
since
out?
then. You feel me?
Yeah.
Fell off every since then. And just like you said, DDP, I'll agree with you with what you're saying about the nostalgia, because I seen the 70s, I seen the 80s, I seen the 90s, I seen all them. I seen all the Super Bowls except one. Okay, so I could say I agree with you. I do agree with you in that sense about the nostalgia. But here's the counterpoint to that. Once you've seen that, you expect it, right? So after all these years, I've been seeing them winning. And so now when I see this, it's like, okay, you know, I'm fed up now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because this has been always a team of winning.
Yeah.
Even when they were bad,
Yep.
when Tom Landry and them, they didn't lose like this.
No.
They weren't missing the playoffs like this, even with Tom Landry and them. I don't care about free agency. They were still winning. They had that little period and then it was over. They got rid of the team, but it was only like a 4-year span where Dallas was bad, because even in them 80s, Danny White and them went to 3 NFC championships.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it wasn't
100%.
like they weren't still competing. It was at the very end. It was like literally like 3-4 years, and then it was over. And then they got Jimmy Johnson. It was the changeover and everything. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't that period of the 70s between the 80s where they were only winning 3 playoff wins. No, that's where they gathered all their playoff wins, DDP. That's why they're so far ahead of the division. If they were to go by the Cowboys, if they would have started, right, listen to this, DDP. All the history that Dallas has, that's what's saving us right now, DDP. That's the history is saving us. All those wins they won in the 70s, all those wins they won in the 80s, and some of them 90s, that's what pushed them all the way up to where they made themselves elite. But if they were to go off these Cowboys now, they'd be bottom of the barrel. If they started the Cowboys from when Jerry took over to now, bro, we'd be like the Browns.
Yeah. I mean,
a flash in the pan team, right?
Right.
They would look at us as they would look at us, right, as a franchise, as a flash in the pan organization.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's it's really disheartening. You assume like, okay,
I don't want to talk about this crap, but I'm sorry. I don't have anything positive to say except the defense. And even then, I feel like the offense is going to compromise the defense. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, if
they're
Dallas
just going to overexpose them.
and if Dallas comes out like gangbusters, you're still going to come on my channel. I'm still going to say the same thing, because like I said, I've seen winning streaks in 2014, 2016, 2018, 2021. And what happened? Nothing. So there's nothing going to think me to believe that there's going to be anything different. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I'm going to feel my team, but I'm going to tell you right now, dog, I'm just really mad at the organization. Not mad. It's just like, I'm not even mad at the organization no more. It's just almost just like,
you're apathetic. It's worse.
Yeah. It's just
like, if you're mad, you're mad because you care. If you're apathetic, if you're just detached,
right,
that's what anymore. That's what I don't like. It's at.
That's where it's at.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and I hate that, but that's where it's at.
I told you when the playoff game happened last year, I was like, I think this is what broke me. Like, I think I'm just done. They could go literally 18-0 or 19, I guess, 0 at this point, heading into the Super Bowl, and I would still be sitting here saying like, whatever, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, they'll go out there and they'll get slaughtered or something, you know, like they'll do something. And even if they finally get over the hump, I feel like I'm still gonna be like, all right, cool, they finally did it. Like, I hope
I'm
they
not
can
gonna
build
be
on
excited about it. I'm like, that's where I'm at right now, y'all. All the Cowboys fans in here, I know y'all be like, man, I ain't following Big Game no more. He just whatever. I get it. I totally get it. I get it from y'all. If y'all feel that way, I'm not gonna beg anybody to stay support my channel. But that's just how I feel about the Cowboys right now. I'm just very, like DDP, apathetic about this situation. I'm kind of over it. You know, I'm gonna continue to do my Cowboy stuff, but that that what I had when I was younger and even some years ago is just not there. It's just this is
Right.
I'm not going to jump up there in front about it because I'm tired of the same things happening over and over again, and I'm tired of the lies, man. I'm tired of those that fake stuff about. I just don't feel no urgency, and when I listen to Stephen Jones, DDP, I just feel like he's like, hey, we're gonna do this our way, and this way is the way we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And when he said Super Bowls aren't won in the off season, I mean, just shit like that, bro. It's just like, man, you ain't trying to win. You just trying to make this money, and as long as you're competitive, that's cool with you.
Yeah, if you're actually making moves and trying to win, if you're being aggressive, I'm not saying you got to go full blown like Rams in terms of what they're doing, excelling like all the future first round picks and everything. Not saying you got to do that, but if you're aggressive, if you're doing even what like Philadelphia, for instance, does, then okay, I can at least respect it because at the very least, I can tell you're trying. But when you're sitting back and you're basically just saying like, oh, we're just going to continually try to refill the pond, and we're not gonna worry about trying to get out there and win. We're not gonna worry about these trade acquisitions that we could make, even when they do make a sizable trade. The Amari Cooper trade, for instance, it's out of absolute utter desperation. That's what it takes for them to get there because they were looking at it. They were what 2-4 through those first 6 games that year. They were at a point where I think the Titans literally came in and beat them in AT&T Stadium, and then they were like, "Ooh, now Titans, you feel differently about them now." But at the time, that was like, "Ooh, that's not a good loss."
That
And
was
it
a
kind of
terrible loss. We thought we was going to win that game,
yeah,
DDP, and we got murdered that game.
and it
Then
put it in perspective.
and that's when they and then, I didn't mean to cut you off, but then that's when they jumped on the horn, made the Amari Cooper trade,
Mm-hmm.
and then Stephen Jones felt like he was the smartest dude in the book because the Amari trade they hit off, and he kept on trying to rub it in everybody's face that he made the best trade in the world, and he was just smelling himself after that. But it ain't like you done did that any other time. That was one of those. The moon hit the atmosphere, something, a lightning bolt hit something, and that's the only time we're gonna see something like that because he don't do that. And the only reason why he did that was because he saw what 2017 was a bad season, right? 2018 going the same damn way. You better do something, but it's always after the fact because he wants to continue to prove that we doing this the right way. So we're not going to change nothing because we're trying to prove so bad to everybody in the world that we're going to do it this way. So we ain't going to change from that way. People adjust. When you have a business, sometimes you got to adjust. Sometimes your way maybe we got to tweak it a little bit. We like our way, but maybe we need to tweak some things so we can get over the top. I don't see that sense of urgency from Dallas. They're not like, well, you know what? We had this team from last year, like I said, and we were frustrated that we lost that. We're at 12-5. We had everything at the step. You know what we're gonna do? Let's re-up this, man. Let's reload this, and let's look in free agency, maybe get one guy, keep all our guys, and get one
it's
guy.
Bargain bin. Always
you feel
bargain
me?
bin.
Because here's the thing, you still would have had them draft picks, right? You could have probably, and you had the money, you could have finagled it to get a guy. Von Miller said, I would have came to Dallas, but they wasn't talking about no money. Maybe one time, this Stephen Jones, you could have jumped out there and said, bump it. I'm going to just put all in because Von Miller ain't going to be here forever. He's toward the end of his career. So let's just throw the chips in for a couple of years, and then we can still draft good. We can get a leader right here. We can get a doggish receiver. You know what I mean? Like, and keep our Amari Cooper and just let's go for it. And I feel like it's like, you know what? We don't like you. You acted like this, so we're gonna let go, and we're gonna do it this way and keep it cheap, and then we're gonna feel like we're gonna put this on deck. That's what I feel too. While I'm just rambling about just a bunch of things, but that thing with Dak Prescott, I just feel like when I watched that Dave Hellman thing, and I've been saying this, but when he came out and said that on the whatever it is that with Marcellus Wiley, whatever I can't remember the name of the show. First, whatever the first word, whatever the hell it is, I don't know. But anyway, when he was on there and he said he feels like they're doing Dak a disservice and they're making him the scapegoat, I feel that too. I've been feeling that because I feel like y'all paid him this money. He begrudgingly paid him this money. He cried about it the whole time when he paid Dak. Dak put him in a corner like, no, I ain't taking this. You're going to have to do it this way. He didn't like it like that. So now it's almost like, and maybe this conspiracy theory, but now it's just like, why are you taking weapons away from Dak? You're supposed to continue to give him stuff, and you're taking, now you want him to be a miracle worker. Now you got a line that's in flux. You got an offensive receiving core that is not scaring anybody, and now you're putting it all on Dak, like, make it work. I don't like that.
No, not ideal building at all. Shout out, by the way, to Carlos and Hagen for the correction on that. Cowboys were 3-5 at the time of the Amari trade, and the Titans game was actually his first game with Dallas. So correction there. Good call out, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I absolutely I agree with what you're saying. It's not ideal how they're building things, because it feels like they're basically saying, like, even if they're of the mind that this move is going to be okay, yeah, it's a little bit of a step back from where we were last year, but we think long term it's going to put us in a better position. I have a hard time seeing that. Like, I have a hard time seeing that. And even if you say, like, okay, we had to make the moves that we made with Amari and Lyle, I don't think you did. But even if you said that, first of all, if you had Lyle on your team right now, don't you feel better about the Tyron Smith situation? Like, it's ridiculously different how you feel about it. You don't have the same sense of pressure right now. If you moved Zach Martin over to left tackle, he would do better than any other option you have. They won't, and they won't. And the one time that they tried to fill him in spot duty there, he did fine, but he got hurt. So
yeah, I don't
one of the rare times. Now. Yeah, one of the rare times that's happened to him. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's got like more all pros than he has holding penalties in his career. Ridiculous what he's been able to do. But you're not going to put him in that situation. And if you're not going to have the blind side taken care of in that respect, then you're going to be in a tough situation. So they're not keeping Lyle. He's gone. He's in Cincinnati. Of course, they had that big dust up today with the Rams. Right. And Lyle was pretty much in the thick of that from what I saw. And then you have the Amari thing where it's like, okay, in that case, it's not even just that you moved on from him. It's that you so badly misread the market of what you can do, and you so badly mishandled it, where you basically telegraphed, hey, we're probably going to cut him if we can't find a trade partner. Then why would anybody other than the Browns, just because they know they can't get him there on their own, like, why would anybody make a serious offer to you if they know you're going to cut them? It doesn't make sense. It's so, like, even that's what I talk about when I talk about, like, the competence of the front office. It's not just being able to draft well and assemble the pieces. You have to actually know how to manage, like, trade negotiations, how you deal with contract extensions, and just everything feels like they have a handful of guys that Dallas tries to play hardball with them. All they end up ever doing is driving up the price on themselves. Dak being a huge example of that. Zeke. Now, Zeke's a little different. Zeke had 2 years left on his contract, but he got everything he wanted from Dallas. And now they're, after this year, they're going to be able to get away from him finally. But I think you mentioned, it would not shock me in the least if they do like they did with D-Law. And they
I think they're going to try
restructure, because he's like the face of their marketing thing at this point.
And he gets money.
It shouldn't be. It should be Dak and it should be Micah Parsons. That's your two best players on each side of the ball. But that is what it is. They make these moves that hamstring them, because they have at different times so many of these guys that are paid at or near the top of their position in the league, despite the team itself never actually doing anything of real substance. And then all these other guys, they can't support the same way, or they just don't manage it well. Like, if they are going to move on from them, they do something like the Amari thing, where it's like, okay, but the receiver market has ballooned in a way where Amari would be actually more towards the middle of the league in terms of, like, your number one receivers and pay. That's not bad at this point. And you can't just keep telling me, oh, well, we got to worry about future negotiations coming up, where now we got to start thinking about CD, and we got to start thinking about Trayvon Diggs, and we got to think about Micah Parsons, of course. Like, those are true.
So, right, and that's telling me that you're not even...
You can always figure it out. The cap isn't
exactly.
Real.
And here's the thing, though, too, DDP. When I hear that tells me that you're just keep on pushing that in the future. Like, oh, well, we got to worry about this, so we can't do that. So that tells me you ain't all in. You ain't
Yep.
all in. And if you're worried about them other guys, and we don't even know if you're going to pay them. I don't know if you're going to pay CD Lamb yet. I don't know if that's going to happen. I seen how you lowballed other people. You lowballed everybody that you want to go win against. Okay. Now I know most organizations are not going to give you the high number. Most organizations are not. They're not going to do that. I get that. But we all hear about how these players are talking about Stephen Jones be disrespecting them with, deal offers, and it's just like I don't know, man. It's just we'll see. Friday's game's coming up with Seattle. I want to get this up here. D-Town text. He's saying that we crying doom and gloom for the season's heart. All I'm gonna say is this: make sure you stay in my feeds. I'm not even trying to say I want to be right, but I am gonna be right. I really feel like that is. And if I'm totally wrong, you make sure you jump in my feed, and I will give you a 100% apology and say I was wrong. But right now, I am saying I am right in what I feel. I am saying that you are delusional. No disrespect how I'm saying this, but I feel like you are delusional because the facts show, or what I'm not the facts, but my opinion has been they're going to fall on their face again. And I got 26 years to prove it. Okay. I can go 26 years and see where they've had good teams and failed.
Yeah.
I can go to that. See, if it was not a track record that I couldn't go to, then I wouldn't have doom and gloom. I wouldn't be talking negative. But I got a big track record. Okay. That's just like if you telling me this person has been a crackhead for 27 years. Okay. I mean, you really think I'm going to believe in 1 year he's going to change for not being a crackhead? I know it's a real analogy. I come with those weird analogies. But it's the truth.
Yeah,
you're not going to believe it, right?
I get what you're saying.
Am I going to leave him in my house?
Right.
After 27 years? No, I'm not going to believe it, right? I got to see evidence for a long time. I got to see you going through things. I got to see you rehabbing. I got to see you working. You know what I'm saying? I got to see those things before I can trust that, right? I'm just not going to bring you in my crib and you've been a thief all your life, right? If you've been a thief for 700 years and I'm going to let you live in my crib? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to believe that all of a sudden that because you stole 27 years of your life, now I'll bring you in my house, that you're not going to steal something out of my house. I'm gonna believe that that's what you're gonna do because the track record it shows it, right? And more times than not, DDP, that person is gonna steal, ain't they?
Yeah, I mean,
more times than not, they are.
I get what you're saying.
Now I know my analogies be weird. Somebody said horrible analogy. No, actually, it's a good one. But you're just a super Cowboys fan. And I get that. I'm just not that right now. You know what I mean? I'm not the super Cowboys fan right now. I'm just
right.
I love my squad for the team. I don't love the ownership. I love the Cowboys. I don't like the ownership. I don't like how the ownership is doing things. So I always love my Cowboys. But when I don't love my ownership, it doesn't make me feel good because I feel like ownership is doing a disservice to the team right now.
Asking about like Cowboys teams where they were contenders, that we had teams that were contenders 2007, 2014, 2016, 2018.
And what happened?
I mean, run through it. How many playoff games did they win in all of those?
Right. D-Town text, and that's how I want to bring it to. He said, and I'm gonna put this up here because I want to challenge what you're saying because he said we had teams that were contenders, true or false? Yes. And right. And what did those teams? And you answer this. What did they do? Will McClay is great, but we're not talking about Will McClay. What did they do when they had 2007 when Jerry said we going to the Super Bowl and he already made NFC Championship shirts
in the divisional round by the Giants, who you swept in the regular season,
and then 2009 got beat up and then came back and played the Eagles, beat the Eagles, and then
that was Romo's first playoff win against the Eagles. Yeah,
right. That was his first playoff win, right? Was that? And then what? 2014 was the next one.
2014 was the next time because you had the 3 straight 8-8s in there. So yeah, 2014 they beat the Lions, and then
even when we beat the Lions, even in the Lions game, that was controversial because we got away with the pass interference.
Yeah.
And we had to win in the last minute. Is that not right?
Yeah.
Dallas didn't blow that game out in Detroit. Romo had to take us all the way down the field and scored the last second touchdown in that game because we almost lost it. Then D-Law still had to get the strip sack fumble to win the game because they were at the 50-yard line. And he strip sack fumble Matthew Stafford, right?
Yep.
2016, we saw what happened. We got the penalties kind of messed us up, but we got down early. What happened?
We were down like 31-3. I mean, we were getting our asses beat. It was 21. I think it was 21-3.
21-3. And then
21-3, getting our asses beat. And then, hey, you climbed in and you tied it up, but you had a possession where you could have done it. Now, I get that you can't put like these games on Jerry specifically, but like I think this past year, if you look at what the team you had built was last year and like from a talent perspective where you were and what you did in this offseason, you can't tell me that they were aggressively moving forward trying to make their team better or that they were going out with the intention of winning. Like, this is a team that was like, okay, let's throttle back, recalibrate, and we'll see what we have in a couple of years. That's basically what it feels like. But they won't say that. They're going to say that they think they're doing all the things that are going to help the team be better, but you can't make the moves that you made and say that you're trying to make your team in 2022, 2023, whatever, better than you were in 2021, 2022. So it is what it is, man. Like, I think you look at this and you say the franchise hasn't had back-to-back seasons of winning 10 games since like 96, 97, something like that. I mean, we're just talking about back-to-back seasons, 10 wins. Like, you're not even being consistent. You haven't won the division back-to-back years in forever. You haven't gone to the conference championship. What are the franchises with a longer drought than that? The Browns, which aren't even the original Browns, because if you were going off that, obviously Baltimore's done plenty. But like the Browns, the Lions, and
Browns, Lions, Washington, and Miami.
Washington. Okay, yeah, Washington, Miami. So that's your list. Like, do you think any of those teams from a historic standpoint are on the plateau the Cowboys are? Not even close. Like, not even close. But that's where you are. That's where all of this is. And the fact that the Cowboys, you can't say like, oh, well, Jerry and them get all the credit for the good things. Will McClay, that hire, genius. You can't say that and then turn around and say, but everything that happens on the field, none of the bad stuff is on them. At some point, it's about the environment you're building, and it's about the way you're building the roster, whether it is your drafting. You know, talk about the Taco Charlton pick. Talk about some of these guys that were really, really reaching. Like, are there examples of great ones that fans didn't even appreciate at the time? Yeah. I wasn't initially hyped about the Micah Parsons pick. I've said that. And for all of 1 year, we looked like idiots for being down on the LVE pick. Our draft coverage of that, we live streamed it from Mexico in Plano. When they picked LVE, all of us were like in dismay. We were like, no, that's a terrible pick. And for all of 1 year, we looked like idiots. Ever since then, it's like, yeah, there were better options there that you should have gone with. It's just, these things are in flux, but what is the one constant? The constant is Jerry and Steven. And what has that constant shown us over a serving size, sample size, whatever, of 25, 32 years, but 25 since they last had real success? You got to look at the one never changing factor and say, something about this is not good enough.
Yeah. See, and here's the thing. D-Town, you reaching, dog. You reaching. That people always say that, oh, you want to just dog Jerry for the bad. I just told you that they got Will McClay. I just told you that's
I feel
Jerry.
like I just answered a bunch of that stuff.
He just answered all your daggone stuff you're talking about. We acknowledge that he has Will McClay. We acknowledge that they've had a very good drafts, but we also acknowledge they have to have good drafts because they won't take that next step in free agency. They won't do it. So they have to keep a Will McClay because they won't do anything beyond that. But the whole point of this is you have to see and say, what makes any Cowboys fan believe that this year, D-Town Text, you tell me what's going to make any Cowboy fan believe that this year is different from the prior years. You tell me the one thing that's going to make you feel like this team is different from those other years.
Yeah. Yeah, and he says, so he says we were contenders last year. Doesn't that work contrary
and
to
we
your
choked.
Argument?
Your argument is terrible. What you're saying. I'm sorry, we're making this about you, but I just when fans say that, you got to come with what you're saying. You're just saying we're sour, but now I need to challenge you because I'm challenging you now. You say we were contenders last year, and what happened? You're making the point. You're making our point right.
And to be clear to reiterate what you just said. We're not trying to take shots at you specifically. That is not what we're trying to
No,
do.
not at
We're
all.
just talking about the counterpoints here, because
counterpoints.
these are things that other people are saying as well. So that's the idea. Is just it's just having the discussion. We're not trying to specifically call out your perspective on that. So yeah, it's I want to be wrong. I do. In this case, I would love to be wrong, and I would love it if I felt confident, not competent, but confident in this front office and where they were headed. I love some of the things they're doing with defense. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to give Jerry credit for personnel decisions. Hey, they did not let Will McClay get away. McClay has his misses at times too. We were just talking about that with the draft, but did not let McClay get away. Dan Quinn, great hire at defensive coordinator after several misses. McCarthy is an upgrade from Jason Garrett. I don't think it was a slam dunk of a hire or anything like that, but it's an upgrade, so whatever. He's made good personnel decisions, but there's more to it than just a handful of good decisions in that case. And when you are wearing the tag of GM, not just owner, but GM, the roster building and the composition is on you. You can't say, oh, well, Jimmy gets all the credit for building the dynasty, but I was the GM the whole time and I had a huge part in doing that. Just as much say, ultimately, it all boiled down to my decision, what I wanted to do. You can't take credit for building that dynasty and then, while having that same title, completely shrug off the responsibility of 25 plus years. He's acknowledged before, literally anybody else, any other general manager in the league who had as little success as him in the last 25 years, none of them would keep their job. And he says that with the smile, saying like, but the kicker here is I own the team, so I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to fire myself. I'm here. It's my job. I get that. But that doesn't mean that you're the right guy for the job. That's all we're saying.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, well, I don't know, man. Like I said, when I see the things that are happening, you got an 80-year-old GM that's still going on First Take, talking to Stephen A. Smith. I think that's a clown show to me. Your owner, because he's the general manager too now, right? He is the general manager. He's only been the only other general manager with this reign as long as he has. He's had a 20-year reign of being the general manager, president, owner, right? So if you're the general manager, why the hell are you on First Take at 80 years old? Why are you on First Take? What's the point of you? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So when people tell me about Jerry, and then what's the point of you always being in the media? These other teams aren't doing it. Why are you on First Take? What was the purpose of you being on there at 80 years old, being on First Take for what? What was your purpose? We know DDP, but that's what I'm saying. That's, to me, is a clown show. Why the GM should not be.
Yeah, he turned around from that too, and then jumped on, I think it was, so he did the one with ESPN, had them out at the Star, and then turned around and did something with the Fox Sports guys and all of that immediately after. And that was.
And what is he saying?
I mean, it's all about just getting the coverage and the conversation to them. It's all about being in the center of the spotlight.
Exactly. And he don't care if it's good media. He don't care if it's good media or negative media, as long as Dallas is in the media. That's why he's going to keep on doing the First Takes and going there when he's 88 years old and still our general manager. And he's still talking about he knows everything about football. I'm sorry. I don't believe those are the football guys up there. And so, yeah, it all starts from the top. So when somebody tells me it's a lazy analysis to just blame Jerry, Jerry's the one who hires the coaches. Who hired Jason Garrett for 10 years?
Yeah.
Jerry and them. Steven. They hired him. Okay? So I can say it's the top because they brought in Jason Garrett, and for 10 years, what did Jason Garrett do? Nothing.
Well, they brought in Garrett before they even hired Wade Phillips.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying? And look at all the coaches he's brought in since Jimmy. They've been weak-minded except Bill Parcells. That's because the fans was like, stop bringing these weak-ass coaches. As soon as he brought in a strong-mind coach, he undercut him with Parcells. He undercut him because Parcells was like, don't bring in T.O. Let me do this. And what did Jerry do? He said, no, I run this team. I'm going to do this. You get what I'm saying?
To be fair, they did get better with T.O.
They did. But it was toxic.
Yeah. No, it did. Yeah, the chemistry and everything definitely got polluted with that. But
and we knew it was going to happen. It got toxic,
yeah.
and that's why Parcells said, "I don't want that." And sometimes Parcells been doing this, right? He kind of know what he doing. He got some Super Bowls under his belt, so he kind of, you brought him in because you knew what he was doing. He even said that, y'all bringing me in, but you ain't letting me do this. You get what I'm saying? If you're gonna bring me in, let me do this. Sit back and let me do this. But Jerry has never done that because they are too hands-on and everything. Just like when they talk about the coaching, Stephen Jones said, "Hey, we don't be talking. We don't do nothing with the coaches." I'm sorry, I don't believe that. They're hands-on with every single thing with the Dallas Cowboys. Why wouldn't they have an influence on plays or who gets in, who plays, who doesn't play? How in the hell they don't have the influence on that when they influence everything on that daggone team? So that's why I say it does, because he hires the coaches, he brings them in, and then he don't let them do their jobs. He came in with Mike McCarthy, but he made sure he had to keep Kellen Moore, so he didn't really let him get his own staff. He let him get everybody wanted, but he said, you're going to keep him because we like him. So it wasn't really you giving the coach any kind of authority and power, right? And Mike McCarthy has even said that. And the coaches that he has had, he doesn't give them the power and authority because he is still overwhelming them. And that's why these things happen. When we choke in games, I feel it starts from the top. Mike Brown, I said this, and I don't want to, I'm going to end it kind of with this, DDP. Mike Brown, I'm out here in Ohio, okay? Mike Brown was one of them, was like the Jerry Jones of the Midwest. He was cheap, but he was not like Jerry Jones. He was super cheap. He didn't ever want to pay players. They had all kind of problems. Players hated Mike Brown. Do you understand? But he started, you know what? I had to peel back a little bit. He started doing everything. He started turning it over. He turned it to like his stepdaughter and started turning it over to the football people. And what happened? Within a year, not 2 years, not 3 years, not 4 years, when he backed off and he said, I can't do some of the things I used to. I'm letting these people take over and let them do it. What happened? I don't think it's a coincidence that they went to the Super Bowl. Now, they still have to maintain that success, but we saw when he backed off and said, I'm going to stop doing the same things I used to. He even said I had to make changes. I couldn't do the same things I was doing before. And when he backed off and let the people do them things, they started winning and going places. They did it last year, and let's see it again. But that's what it is. That's why I say it starts from the top, because you bring in those coaches, you're still over everything, you are still controlling it. And I believe because those things happen is the reason why we have the dumb things happen in these games. I just feel like it's almost like a hex now, like almost like a curse, because when you meddle and do those type of things, it always comes back against you successful wise. You won't be successful. So that's just what it is.
I like Eric's point here. He brings up Cheeto playing in the Super Bowl last year, said it is 100%. The culture doesn't focus on anything outside of football. Like that.
The coach even said it here. Mike McCarthy even said it. They don't focus on football. They focus on marketing. Mike McCarthy said it.
Yeah. So your coach said it. Your former cornerback who played in the Super Bowl last year said it. Cole Beasley said it when he went to the Bills. We were laughing when Cole Beasley got there.
Brian said it.
This is an upgrade.
Brian said it.
Like people looked at the facility at the time, the Browns, like their practice facility, and they're like, "What is he talking about?" But it's just like, no, man. When you get away from like kind of the circus, everything, and it just gets to be simple and about football again, and not like this marketing thing where it's like marketing first, football second. Then you kind of focus on the craft more. And that's not to say that like obviously those teams have like the skins on the wall that the Cowboys do as a franchise, but even still, like you're professional athletes, you're football players. Is it really hard in Dallas? So when you get to focus on just that and not have to be wrapped up in all this other stuff, it makes a difference. So that's what I look at. It's the culture, and that literally is a top-down
culture
thing.
That's what it is. It's the culture.
That's not just a coach. That's literally your entire ecosystem that you build. And there's only two people that really oversee that. One in particular, but in general, that is what you're looking at. So that's the big thing to me, is nothing has changed because it's been the same ecosystem, the same culture for the vast majority of this time. But I don't know, man. We're in circles here. I feel like it's going down a drain pipe.
Yeah, it's going deep down a drain pipe. But like I said, we'll see. Game is Friday. I'm gonna do a live probably for the first half. I was down. I just came back from Dallas. Sorry, we didn't get being DDP didn't get to kick it, but we'll be back. We'll be down there to kick it. But I was at camp, um, at the free camp yesterday, Tuesday. Had a good time down there. Got to see Law, Boss, Sky. I had a great time. Going to the camp. Being able to see everybody, that was good. And then, like I said, we'll be doing the Friday exhibition game, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of people, I'm interested to see Connor McGovern at center and see how that happens. And then, we'll get ready for week one. And like I said, I'm gonna be going live and my thing, and I'm gonna just tell y'all this: I love my Cowboys. I love my Cowboys, but I just don't agree with the ownership, and I don't love ownership, and that's just how I feel. I'm not gonna sit there and say sell the team, nothing like that, because that's not happening. That's not a reality. No. You feel me? They're not selling anything, so I'm not even gonna say anything like that. But that's where I'm coming from. I love my Dallas Cowboys more than anything. That's my squad. You feel me? I'm ride and die with my Cowboys, but I don't ride and die with the Joneses. I'm sorry, I don't. And I feel like because of that, that's the hindrance. And maybe that's why I feel the way I am. And until I see things differently, this is how I'm going to feel about the Dallas Cowboys, because I've seen more non-success under Jerry than success.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, this entire episode here was Cowboys centric. We are still planning to do a new segment we're doing for some Mavericks talk in the near future. Probably going to see about running it next week, tentatively calling it the Throwback Throwdown. That's basically like our version of like the Wayback Machine. We're going to take a look at the 1988 Dallas Mavericks. We were initially trying to do it for this week, but it's just been a chaotic week. So we're bumping that 1 week. We're going to do a deep dive of those 88 Mavericks that took the Lakers to 7 games in the Western Conference Finals. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. But in the meantime, of course, we're going to be talking Cowboys. Stuff's getting underway. Regular season is on the horizon. And so we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully, Cowboys can do a little something. I'd love to be proven wrong about this, but it's going to take some time for me to become a believer in this team right now. Like right now, I'm almost begrudgingly like keeping an eye on it. Like I'm watching it. I want them to do well, but I just don't in my heart believe it right now. And that's just something that's going to take time to heal, time and actual evidence to the contrary to heal.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm there with you. That's why I said what I said. I'm gonna be on my team, but right now, I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I don't believe, I don't believe it. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna believe it. They need to show consistency. I said I'm not drinking no Kool-Aid. I'm not even thinking about regular season. It's playoffs or bust, number one. And then it got to be at least 2 playoff wins for me to think anything now, because I've seen too many of the same things happen before. So I'm not getting hyped up like that. I'm not going to jump up and, I do think our defense is good. But I don't feel like that's going to take us over the top, y'all. I'm sorry. I think our defense is very good, but it ain't going to take us over the top because we need all things working. And I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, please.
The last time you had a team win the Super Bowl that was just the defense was the Broncos. The last Peyton Manning Super Bowl, where he had a duck of an arm and there was just nothing left at that point. And it was all the defense. That's what it boiled down to. Like, you don't have the team that is purely defensive built get there. You have to be basically in that like top 10 in both offense and defense generally. And I feel like last year you had those parts. This year, I don't see any sign that you're going to have that with the offense, but we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do. Maybe Kellen Moore can do some kind of trickery and make it at least competent. If they can, maybe we'll at least be talking in that 10-win range, 10-7. But it could easily go the other way with that and 7-10, and then you're missing the playoffs. So we'll see. Until then, I think that'll wrap up our time here. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to both channels, Big Game James, the Dallas Prospect. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Peace.
And end stream.